60 years ago today, Bay Village police were scouring a house owned by Dr. Sam Sheppard for clues as to who brutally murdered his wife, Marilyn.
Yeah, the murder of the woman and the two trials her husband stood began a story which is still compelling today. In fact, news coverage changed because of controversial events which took place. In tonight's My Ohio, Leon Bibb looks at a building closely tied to Dr. Sam Sheppard and how that building is used today.
A building with a curious past draws gazes from passerbys who know its tragedy. This building has seen much and been much in its strange role in a case of murder. The mysterious story of Bay Village physician Sam Sheppard, who was tried twice for killing his wife, Marilyn. A mystery swirled here because at the time of the 1954 murder, it was a hospital owned by the Sheppard family, a father and son physicians where son Sam was rising in prominence.
Anybody who comes into Cleveland obviously knows of the Sam Sheppard story.
Bob Soderquist studies the case from an unusual perspective. He lives in the Bay Village building, once the Sheppard's Bayview Hospital, and now a condominium. Cashel Mara Condominiums does not shun the Sheppard connection, but displays it prominently, labeling the building once owned by
probably one of the most renowned physician families at its time.
The Sheppard story was nationally gripping. Its news coverage was later deemed out of bounds and overboard. The Cleveland Press had led the drumbeat for the arrest of Sam Sheppard, its editor pressuring authorities to bring him in. 27 days after Marilyn's murder, Dr. Sam was arrested and charged.
Because of the Sheppard case, it's actually a piece of American history because that changed the way we do everything with regard to the newspapers.
Because news coverage went too far, the U.S. Supreme Court 12 years later ruled massive, pervasive, and prejudicial publicity prevented Sheppard from receiving a fair trial. In 1966, in a second trial, Dr. Sam was acquitted. Once again, the Sheppard Hospital became the talk. Eyes again stared at the Sheppard home, the murder scene, and the Sheppard workplace. The old former hospital is still here.
We were looking for a place that was going to be unique.
Always unique. The structure began as a home in 1896 when Cleveland businessman Washington Lawrence built it and moved in with his wife and 7 daughters. More than a half-century later, the Sheppard family of doctors bought the house, converting it into an osteopathic hospital. Many years after Marilyn Sheppard's murder, it was sold for condominiums.
I think that's important that that be part of the picture, the snapshot, if you will, of the history of this building.
Perhaps because the Sheppard mystery so overshadowed anything else. History and mystery are never far away. Condo owner Bob Soderquist and real estate agent Lou Barbie stand in storage units where once Sam Sheppard performed surgeries.
Tell you the number of people that I have come to look at these who will say, yeah, I had my leg set here, or I was born in this hospital.
It was actually the operating room to the hospital when Sam Sheppard and his family had their practice here in the Bay Village Hospital.
If these walls could talk, the stories they would tell. They have seen much since 1896. They have been residential, hospital, only to become residential once again. But of course, the big story is the story of Sam Sheppard, who worked inside these walls in 1954 when his wife Marilyn was murdered. If these walls could talk, but then again, these walls remain silent. But in a way, the Cashel Mara condominium walls do speak of the Sheppards and the tragedy. Newspaper accounts of Marilyn's murder and 2 trials of husband Dr. Sam pepper the walls. Faces peer from the past with an almost haunting look.
I read the Cleveland Press when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I followed that whole history.
Of the Sam Sheppard case?
Yes, I did.
And this was Dr. Sam's office, right?
Oh, yes.
We're standing right here in the hallway.
Yes, I know. Yes.
A fascinating building with twists, turns, and tragedy, certainly around its most well-known occupant, Dr. Sam. Dr. Sam Sheppard is gone, but the story remains.
Absolutely, and always will.
In Bay Village, Ohio, a building which was news 60 years ago. Quiet now with its added units and its old Lake Erie shoreline. What the building has seen, the stories it could tell, if it would. Leon Bibb, News, Channel 5.